talking about professional licensing. So if your company requires licensed professionals to perform specific works, professional license verifications should play a key role in your hiring process. Professional licenses help ensure that professionals across the range of fields hold the necessary qualifications to engage in highly specialized work. A New York State license is valid for the life of the holder unless revoked, annulled, or suspended by the Board of Regents or other governing board. Faking these documents is more common than you might think, so we recommend never taking these at face value. Hiring individuals who do not have the proper licenses can endanger your employees, customers, and vendors. It can also damage the reputation of your business and increase the risk of legal action and penalties. For this presentation, we will be focusing mainly on New York, but there are national accreditations that you can search as well. New York's registry is maintained by the Office of Professions through the Department of Education. There are literally thousands of different licenses required to work in New York, but we break it down into 3 categories: medical, financial, and general overall category, that ever popular miscellaneous. And so the first and largest category is medical field. There is no shortage of positions, but some of the more common licenses that need to be checked are registered nurses, nurse practitioners, physicians, social workers, and therapists. A New York State physician license has a laundry list of requirements, some of them being proof of medical education, a proficiency examination, and hospital training. So some people try to avoid all of that. One of the biggest misconceptions about professional licenses in general is that a degree is a substitute for a certification or a license. It is not. They are separate things, and while a degree may lead to a license, it is not a valid indicator. One of the reasons people try to use degrees is because you have to update your license every so often. For example, registered nurses in New York must renew their licenses every 3 years, and medical doctors must complete an infection control training every 4 years. And we've all found out recently how important that infection control is. There are a mountain of other requirements that each individual job must meet, with most licenses having multiple recurring requirements. Permits are the closest thing to licenses, and at that point, it is up to the organization's discretion to decide if that meets their requirements for hiring. Permits allow an individual to practice medicine under the supervision of a New York State licensed and currently registered physician. Normally, these last 2 years, but they can be renewed for an additional 2 years after if the individual shows they are making progress toward a license. There is a lengthy process to even get a physician permit in New York, so some people try to get by with just that degree again. Here at Commercial Investigations, we are able to see if there are any outstanding requirements that need to be renewed, as well as any disciplinary action that might have been taken against an individual. So if your business employs any individual that requires a medical license, we strongly recommend that you verify those before hiring and continue verification after the hiring is done. Now I will turn it over to my colleague, Kim, to explain the financial category.
Thank you, Nancy. So financial licenses are mostly condensed into brokers and accountants. At CI, we normally deal with accountants, but do check insurance and also real estate brokers as well. Accountants can be found on the Office of Professions registry, but also brokers are on a different website called FINRA. So accountants have a long list of requirements as well, and we are required to renew a New York State license every 3 years. Like some medical positions, accountants have to do something called continuing education as they receive their license or a CPE license. New York State requires 24 to 40 hours of education annually to retain a license. Clocks for this profession reset every January 1st. Brokers' licenses in New York generally have to be renewed every 2 years, and there is continuing education involved again. So the FINRA license checks are usually instant, and they can recover a broker's employment history, any regulatory actions taken against them, and investment-related licensing information as well. While most of these licenses are focused in two major professions, any employee that handles money in your business could be responsible for renewing a license. The last category is one that we call general, and these professions can work in multiple fields. The general category is by far the most diverse, with some of the jobs here including athletic trainers, architects, engineers, interior designers, and also land surveyors. All of these professions have differing requirements for renewal and accreditation. One of the weirder examples we know of is that engineers need to renew their license every 3 years on the last day of the month of the licensee's birthday. And if you're as bad as remembering your friend's birthday as Alex's, then how would you track all of these licenses? So usually organizations that employ these professions deal with more than one license, like an architect or an engineer working together. The New York State Office of Professions is nice in that all of these records can be found in one place, which is the best thing. And it's the easiest thing to use as well. And again, these jobs all have some form of continuing education, most commonly 36 hours of training within 3 years. So finally, here at CI, we recommend checking any employee that is required to have a license at least once when you hire them. And we can't make those decisions for you, but continuously checking that these have been renewed is also recommended. So does anybody have any questions?